Warning: the Chaotic Culture Podcast is a program for mature audiences. The language and content presented in this podcast is of a mature nature that some audiences may not find suitable. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast.
It's the KKP on your mother flipping airways. Hear the name ringing through the halls and the stairways. You were listening to a pod that can segue. All the latest topics guaranteed to fill your headspace. It's a safe place to voice your opinion. Say what you feel just like you're a kid again. Kid to pro and friends, black as obsidian. Chaotic culture, that's the world we living in. So what's the word?
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and black culture is supreme. This podcast will deep dive into modern black culture and how Gen Z and millennials can navigate the crazy parts from finances, music, black business highlights, homeownership, HBCU, sports, black nerdom, anime, wrestling. If it encompasses black culture, we are going to cover it. Live from the 7-5, I am the host and the creator of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, a.k.a. the Calculated Millennial, almost said the wrong thing. The encore presentation. Now, can I get an encore? Do you want more? AKA your favorite toxic adjacent king. Just watch a girl, because if she looked, she took. Ked the poet, Ked the closer, all that good stuff. Back again, once again, with your favorite black culture highlights and black culture shenanigans. Of course, I got three members of the squad here with me. First and foremost, let's give a big, huge birthday shout out to the boy Law. Law just recently had a birthday and was celebrating all week. So, to the co-pilot Law, please go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
What is going on, family? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just want to say thank God for letting me see another 365. I want to say thank you to my pod mates, everybody who sent me birthday wishes, and those who didn't. Guess what? I'm still alive. But no, seriously, on a serious note, I am thankful for everybody who helped me celebrate. This past chapter closing was a doozy. And it's made me be a little bit more grateful and thankful for the start of a new one. So, it's your boy Law. Let's get it. Chapter 27.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is crazy, man. You're in chapter 27, man. We getting up there. Well, I know I am, but still, it's crazy to believe that y'all are that you 27 now, man. Thankful to God that you again saw another 365. So I'm hoping that this year brings plenty of blessings and more cash.
Hey, that part.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next we got the first lady of the pod, Miss Nasa. Could you please go ahead and introduce yourself, ma'am?
Good morning, y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope all is well. It's your girl. It's the Queen Nasa, aka Tony Noir, aka Nicasso, aka I hope y'all are having a good day.
Okay with you, bro.
I hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to the station, honey, and good vibes only. I hope all is well. How's everybody been?
I got to talk about that because it's definitely been up and down. But
Hold on, Katie.
you know,
Get into it. I want to ask Nas about this GVGVO brand.
You guys probably haven't seen it on Instagram and stuff. So yes, I am embarking on new territories, and I am starting leaning into the realm of entrepreneurship and trying to start my own brand, a clothing brand. This is something that I've been wanting for quite some time. I've been contemplating on doing it for about like 3.5 years now. So I'm finally stepping into that space. So yes, it is a clothing brand, streetwear. Think of it as like the next Off-White.
Okay.
Just think of it as the next Off-White. So I'm really excited to kind of see where this goes and just for it to flourish and just thrive. maybe we'll get on, maybe on another episode we'll talk about entrepreneurship and the benefits of it. But um yeah, you know, we're diving into those spaces because we want financial freedom. So
I hear that.
Indeed.
As soon as you
Indeed.
get the first
Absolutely.
what's the word I'm looking for? When you get your first drop, you already know.
yeah, so well, I do wanted to kind of like clarify because I don't know if you guys have peeps. Like I've been posting pictures of literally like me in like the same dress for like a couple weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so originally I wanted to, and I'm just gonna have like a transparent moment, and I think this is important for like anybody who's new into the entrepreneurial field. Um, so I've kind of just been posting just one item at the moment, just to kind of see if how people get acquainted. But I'm gonna be bringing in a lot more clothing and
Mm-hmm.
samples and see how everybody vibes to it. So best believe like once I do like a full drop and everybody gets acquainted with everything, um, y'all gonna have some options. So I'll just keep it at that. But I will definitely keep y'all informed.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, Nasa. We definitely appreciate that. We'll definitely have another episode where we talk about entrepreneurship because we haven't done an episode like that in quite a while. And of course, to the second first lady of the pod, Miss Sappy, please go ahead and introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, had a little technical difficulty earlier, but how y'all doing? It's your girl Sappy, no AKAs or hey hey heys. I'm outside currently walking my dog, and he is causing trauma right now. I'm just like, but it's gonna be a good episode today, y'all. We're gonna have a good time, and let's get into it.
Shout out to Zuko. Well,
No,
all
because
right.
we're gonna need to do his business so we can get out of this code.
I feel that. I feel that. Of course, with a new season comes new weather changes. We have entered, of course, the fall for real this time. The weather definitely changed over here on Saturday, and yeah, my allergies damn sure felt it. So hopefully, they have adjusted to the most part, but I'm just hoping that they continue to adjust because yeah, anytime the seasons change, like my allergies is just like yeah, they're gonna knock me out for like a day. But in any case, quick mental health check. I'll actually start. Yeah, so had some car issues. Thankfully, I have an extended warranty, but it just seems like a lot of things just keep happening. But at the same time, I will say that this year has definitely tested my resiliency, and so I'm just thankful that I'm here, still, and that God continues to be good and faithful, and eventually some good things will happen. But when things just adulting, when it comes to adulting, things require money, and when your car breaks down, you're just kind of like, you don't know what's next. So, hopefully, it gets fixed in a decent amount of time, and hopefully, I'll be able to drive again without having to rely on uh, a rental or relying on others. But yeah, that's just another thing that's been happening so far. So that is my life. So eventually I will get more meetings set up with my therapist here. Whenever I get my next paycheck, I'm gonna set up a meeting with her and just talk about everything that's been happening and try to get some relief. But yeah. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Yep,
ma'am.
I say.
All right.
Absolutely.
Um, so it's been a week. Tis the season, I shall say. And this goes back into owning your own business. This is the time frame when orders come in like crazy, and so your girl's been extra stressed. But the orders got done though, and I got my money, so that's all that matters. But I'm also trying to mentally prepare for the future orders that are coming in and the future hysteria that's going to happen because of those orders. So it's best to prepare when you know something stressful is going to come in the future. Just like mentally prepare yourself, get as prepared as possible so there's no hiccups. And yeah, but I'm good. Orders went through, and I got my money. So that's all I care.
Hey, that's rule number one. Get the
Don't
money.
money.
Rule number two, don't forget to get the money.
Hey, I think we all needed
The
that little.
dilemma, the dilemma of being a crafter is folks want to pay you half up front, half later. And then when you give the product, they don't give you the half later. I'm like, no, 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 no. We need the money today. I have to debo some folks, you know what I'm saying? But I still got my money.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with a little strong arm. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Okay.
Exactly.
Hey, what Rihanna say? Better have my
Bitch,
My
money.
better
money.
have my money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. All right. Who wants to go next?
I
I'll
think
go.
I'll go.
Oh, go
Law,
ahead.
you want to go next?
After you, ladies first.
Okay. Y'all, I think this is a very important topic to discuss. Anxiety.
Ooh,
Mm.
And
Ooh, child.
anxiety shows up. I feel like anxiety shows up in a lot of different ways. And I'm only bringing that up because as of this week, I have been very anxious. I've been very anxious, and I've also have been experiencing some levels of like some very high levels of anxiety. And it's due to the fear of failing, wanting to make sure that wanting to make sure that my business goes well, and wanting to make sure that it's everything is going in order. But in the whole process of this, I'm learning that patience is key, and I wouldn't have to panic if I was patient. So, um, for anybody who's dealing with anxiety or anxiousness, some of the things I would definitely recommend is taking like breathers, like really like toning in on like your breathing and like making sure like you try to keep yourself in like a calm space. And also any endeavors that you are like leaning towards, trust the process. Trust the process and enjoy the journey. And that's like the two things that I've definitely learned, because I definitely had like a very high, I wouldn't say an anxiety attack, but it was definitely like, yeah, it's up there. Anxiety is up there. But I would definitely say, yeah, stay prayerful and trust the journey, because boy, has this been a journey.
Amen to that on all fronts,
yes,
especially
sir.
dealing with three different podcasts and wanting all three to be successful in its own way, but especially the one that we've created here and how much success that I want to try and have, and knowing that the journey has a lot of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are some episodes that will get, as many as 50, 60, 70, 80 views and listens, and some cracked 100. And then there are those that sometimes barely get 20. And I'm just like, damn, do we want to keep doing this? But you just got to keep pushing forward and trying to find ways to make things successful. So, yeah, I definitely get that 100%, Nasa, like 100%. Law, go ahead.
To piggyback on what Nasa said, the anxiety side of it is heavy. Um, haven't really been vocal about this because I needed time to actually process it. Um, but you lose a job that you've given a lot of time to, and that's kind of been like the one thing that I'm not gonna say is your claim to fame. You lose that, and it kind of hurts, especially when you've given time. Time is something that we won't ever get back unless somebody creates a time machine. So yeah, I had to hit reset and go back to the drawing board and try to figure out um, how to facilitate where I'm at in this life I got going on. So it's been a lot of stress, a lot of worry, a lot of being on my knees and praying. That's
Yeah.
major part.
For
And I
sure.
mean, it's still working out in my favor. It's just been a one day at a time type situation. So there was a lot of emotions on my birthday. Not only because I'm making it to milestones that uh, family members that I've lost have not surpassed, but it's also been a point that I'm starting this next chapter having to go back to square one. So
Yep.
yeah, it's been deep, it's been dark, it's been a rough sea to bear. But I'm good. I'm okay. I can still smile. Um, I listen back to some of the songs and they be like, I laugh to smile through the pain, or I laugh to keep from crying.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a lot of that, and I smile to mask the pain. And I think back on the conversations about going back to therapy and just relying on the people that we have in our circle to be there for us. And I've realized the growth that I've had. Before, I would go through rough situations and I would just like close out from everybody. I just reclude. And I've actually been more outgoing, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, everything's gonna work out in due time. I just like Nasa said, be patient and trust the process.
Law, I would have to say, like, Law, you mentioned something like really key, that like in the whole process of like resetting, I feel like it's unlike no one really like notice. Well, I can't say that nobody really notices it, but I don't know if people really like understand how hard like walking by faith really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like walking by faith and not by sight, because you don't know where you're going when you're walking by faith.
Nope.
You actually have no idea what you're doing. And I think I mean, it's not, it can be scary at times, but I think that it's just so worth it, because at the end of the day, like God, like when God shows up, he really shows out.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
He definitely shows out. So yeah, like, but, and it also requires us like to acknowledge him in like even in the smallest milestones, even in the smallest milestones, like when we're having to like restart and try to figure things out. Like not only like, just for example, like for me, like not only am I like starting this entrepreneurship, but like I'm trying to take steps to move, like move to a whole completely different state in like a month and a half. Don't know
Mm.
how it's gonna get done, but it's gonna get done. You
But I
feel
mean,
me?
look at it this way: you've done it once, so you know
Done
what I'm
it.
saying.
Sick. Period.
You can do it again. It's nothing stopping you from being able to do it again. So
Yeah.
like I get what you're saying wholeheartedly. Like and I feel like it's not excluding KJ and Savvy, but like we're the closest to that realization point. Like we're in it thick.
In it thick.
you
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
know, and
In
so
it
it's just
thick.
like, yeah, we want to try to do it on our own because everybody that has been around us or come before us, they've been doing it. They've, made it look good, even though they are probably have gone through some of the same things that we're dealing with now. I
For
think
sure.
for us as budding 27 going on 28-year-olds, we gotta be able to put our pride to the side and reach out and ask, even if it's just for like directional advice. What were some things that help merge your transition from one state to another, or
Yeah.
just put the pride to the side and ask for help. And it doesn't even have to be a financial help. It could just be, hey, just give me some words of wisdom to help me keep going this week. Or because you never know, by us reaching out and asking them for help, you
Mm-hmm.
could be helping them because they could be at a point where they're like, well, damn, I don't know what, like I had an idea for this week, this month, but now I'm not so sure. So like
Yeah.
us, like I think the whole point of us going to Hampton and getting a big, we got to reach out and get back to that. Like it's still always going to be the big little scenario, but it's a point that they were put in our lives for a reason. They weren't just there to get us through those 4 years. You know, it was supposed to be a lifelong friendship, lifelong mentorship, you know? And I think that's what we got to get back to.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely, I
Listen,
agree.
y'all were hitting on all points, and just for a little clarification, look, even at my age, at 32, there are times where I'd
Next
still
question.
have to like, hey, I gotta call my mom and my dad and ask for, whether it be advice or financial help. Like we ain't all there either. Like there are, even at being in our 30s, there are still parts of life where we just have to, put our pride to the side and be like, hey, we need help with certain things. If things don't work out in March for me as far as like trying to get promoted or trying to find another job away from here, it's like I actually have questions on do I need to move back to South Carolina of all places? It's There are varying degrees of pride and varying degrees of what we go through as adults and adulting, that sometimes we just have to look back and again, ask ourselves, is there a time to reset? Is there a time for us for to transition? And are there times for us to, just sit down, pray, and let God take control, which is all the time, honestly, but still, it's one of those things where we have to just relax and not try to force things as they come, and just, you know, when the time is right, the time is right. But when it comes to asking for help, just never be afraid to reach out to your network or your family to try and find things to help you get to that next level, because this adulting thing and life in general ain't easy. And it's not set up for us to be easy, especially for those of us who are black in America. It's going to
Hmm.
be 10 times harder. But, this is why for those of us who utilize the connections that we had from Hampton and our family, we tried to do our best to make use of those connections and try to get to that next level. It's I'm glad that we're having the conversation now, because I think it's a very, very important conversation to have, especially in the middle of again, seasonal changes comes with seasonal depression, and
Hmm.
things can move either very quickly or very slowly depending on how you look at it. And also, the weather can affect your mood, and then on top of that, just life happening in general can also affect your mood. And I'm a witness to that, man. This entire year has been beating my ass, and yet I still try to find ways to just get back up and keep pushing forward, even as I get knocked down multiple times. Sometimes I don't even get a chance to fully properly heal from one event before another event pops up. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I guess this is life as we know it as an adult. But I think that with all of us here today, I think all of us have this we have a bond and a connection to where we know that if we need to help each other or assist each other, we all we have to do is just call and do what we can, even if it means that we don't have all the answers or all of the what's the word resources available. At least we can be there for each other in our times of need.
And
So
to another point, KJ, what you were
mhm.
saying, look, I don't want anybody to think that the idea of moving back home with your parents is a bad thing, because it's not. I've done it. I've left again, and I might be at a point where I might have to go back, which is completely fine. I just want it to be known that the point of the matter is take advantage of your support system. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying take advantage in a negative way, because you would rather get the help so that you can have a sound foundation to keep going versus to keep trying to thug it out on your own and then end up cast to the sea and basically drowning. You know,
For
yes,
sure.
independence is
For sure.
great. It's it's cool to be able to go and come and go, but sometimes being back home, being back in a actual sense of structure, whether it's what you're used to or not, is probably 9 times out of 10 going to be more beneficial to you than to try to just thug it out.
No, for sure. And I feel
Yeah.
like just being at home, because, I've also done it. I'm currently doing it, being back home with your parents. I'm kind of, I don't know, to be honest, I feel like I'm kind of 50-50. Because for me, I'm kind of like craving being on my own, just craving that independency and just thriving alone. Um, but it definitely gives you a chance to reset, for sure. Like, it definitely gives you, like, being back at home with your support system and making sure that your support system is in a healthy space. Um, definitely gives you a better chance of like resetting, like finding some structure for yourself, and also like just like planning things out, like moving forward. So I agree with you, Law. Like, for anybody, and like especially for anybody who's listening, like, don't think that like moving in with your parents is a bad thing, because it's not. But also make sure that like your home and your support your support system is, it's a healthy environment for you to actually like do the things that you need to do in order to like get to that next level.
For sure. For sure. I think for me, I don't have a problem moving back in with my mom. I just wish it wasn't in South Carolina. Like I kind of wish she lived somewhere else. But regardless, if I come to a point where I have to take advantage of that and just move back in with her before I step out on my own again, I have no problems doing that. My older brother did that, and so if I got to do that, then so be it. I wouldn't want to do that again because it's in South Carolina, but still, if push comes to shove and I got no other options, shoot, I will go right home and not think twice about it. But that's
Hey,
just
it'd
my,
be like that. It'd
yep.
be like that.
But
Yeah, I am the
in
complete
any
opposite.
case, you said what?
I said I'm the complete opposite. I love this shit. Okay. I live with
Oh,
my mom.
listen, Sally, I'm here with you, sir.
I
I'm here with you.
love this shit.
I am
Like,
craving that, like
no, I mean, I
craving.
still live with my parent, my mom. Absolutely love it. It's like having a roommate that you actually like. You know what I'm saying? Like, at this point in time, as much as the cost of living is, hell no. I'd rather be with someone I love
Shit.
than paying rent and stressing. Well, I do still pay rent, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about like doing no
Fighting
crazy shit on your
somebody
own.
over some toilet paper. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because if you live in the DV, you most definitely have a roommate because a studio apartment, like I said earlier, is $1,900. Like, be for real.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why. Like, if I move in
yeah.
that area, I'm damn sure gonna look for a roommate. I got a few people who I can be like,
Exactly.
hey, yeah, I might need to stay with you for a little bit. Can we get like an apartment or a townhome together or something? Because I ain't about to be living up there by myself, knowing good and damn well how much it costs. But
Or the
No,
other thing I was gonna
definitely.
say, like, let's start. We've been talking about, financial literacy. Let's talk about, the fact that we need to start utilizing building credit, establishing credit from a certain age, so that when it comes down to it, and you actually need to utilize it, you have it. Like since I was 23, so about 4 years ago, I'll do a credit inquiry every now and again just to see where I'm at. And I mean,
hmm
I'm not able to get in my dream house, but at 27, I don't need my dream house right now. But I don't want to be in an apartment paying mortgage rent. You know what I'm saying?
bro,
So,
I'm saying,
like it's nothing like you get one or like you don't even have to have more than two. Get one or two people that you trust and you feel like y'all can be on the same page, and y'all go and start looking at houses and see how y'all can put y'all credit together to actually get a home. And then from that point, you could do stuff like Airbnb, or like you could do like rent rooms out. Like, y'all got enough credit to get a four-bedroom house. Four-story house, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
But no, if y'all got the credit to get a four-bedroom house, it's two or three of y'all, each of y'all get a room, rent out the fourth room, and then that way you can be able to all have something that comes off the rent or the mortgage rather, so that y'all not, footing the whole bill.
I
It's
Nah,
think we
that's
avenues
real.
out
also
here.
I mean that's really good, but I also think that we also need to start taking into account and like really start having like stronger like more conversations about how ways to have healthier relate like have a healthy relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
um because that's important too, having like a real healthy relationship with money. For example, like I saw this podcast, like I saw like another podcast, and it was basically discussing how like each paycheck that we have, like we should be technically quote unquote stealing money from ourselves, if that makes sense. So it's basically like you set a certain amount aside, and that amount never gets touched,
It's
only for
called pay
emergencies.
yourself first.
Pay
Mm-hmm.
yourself first. Literally, it's like steal your money, but like steal your own money, but it's really just like a pay yourself first type of concept.
Yeah,
um
like, of course you got your bills, but before you even send anything out to anybody that needs to have a bill paid, you're
yeah,
like you said, you're putting at least something. I don't care if it's $50. You're putting money towards yourselves, towards your savings, so that in the chance or the rhyme or reason it's a rainy day. That's a tongue
yeah,
twister.
for definitely
Mm-hmm.
for like a rainy day. And it I think it that in itself teaches about discipline and how to like money manage. Or like if your account is at a certain amount, you know how like people would say like, oh, like who have money but really would be like, I'm broke, like who really be like, oh yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
broke. Yeah, I feel like we should start developing habits where it's just like if our account reaches a certain amount, automatically the concept that we have is I'm broke. Like nothing goes past that.
That's very fair. That's
And
very
look,
fair. And
and to make it make more sense, you're broken spending, not broken your account.
You're
mm-hmm.
exactly. You're broken your spending, not broken to your account. Like if it reaches a certain account, if it reaches a certain amount in your account, then offer it. I'm broke. Not necessarily broke, but I'm broke. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just I would also say that not only looking at the options that you have as far as like, checking your credit every now and again. Like for me personally, I check my credit all the time. And, because I, pay bills and things like that, it's still, I still got very good credit, especially after I've, bought my car 2 years ago. I'm almost back to where I was before then. There's just certain things that I gotta, take care of, but still, I try to look at it from the perspective of, well, I can't get into my dream house right now, as Law said, but uh I'm definitely going to use the options that I have to try to get the heck up out of an apartment, or at least uh try to find somewhere else to move, and then look at perhaps settling down there and utilizing my options. With that also in mind, I'd also like to tell people, like, we did have a financial advisor who came on this podcast, and we're going to take the opportunity to try and find some more that can speak on this as well, because the people that I know are very knowledgeable. Not only Miss Tremaine, who we always shout out on this podcast, but I also have frat brothers who are financial advisors as well, and could tell you different ways for you to build your portfolio and to build your credit, and as well as to earn those residual incomes that we're looking at, without having to go like the scammer route, obviously, like doing what we call multi-level
Nefarious
marketing,
shit.
or yeah, or other nefarious shit. So like there are actual ways for you to build it, and then sometimes it can be quick depending on how much you put into it, and sometimes it may take some time depending on what you got going on. But these options are out there. So, uh, any more comments?
That was really great. That lifted me up for I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. That made me feel a little bit better about everything that's been going on, and I really do thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
man, it's not a problem. I'm glad we were able to talk about this. Like, it's important to have these conversations every now and again. And this is what this podcast is for. It's not just for our benefit, but it's also for the listeners' benefit as well. So, uh, tune in. Of course, we got some more guests that'll be coming through that can talk about this extensively while we have more questions. We're getting back to making sure that we, do our community outreach and make sure that our listeners know, what options there are out there for them, and not just, talk about shooting the shit like we usually do about different topics. I mean, we'll do that still regardless. I mean, it's called the Chaotic Culture Podcast for a reason. Like, a lot of shit. Even in today's episode, there's a lot of shit we got to talk about that's just like purely chaotic. But still, we have this podcast and this platform is used so that way we can reach out to our community and let them know, like, there are ways to succeed as young Americans, as young Black Americans. So with that in mind, we got to talk about this topic is a little nuts. But I did at least want to bring this up real quick. Uh, if you guys haven't been paying attention, there was y'all you we all I don't know if we all know, but there's a rapper by the name of Sexy Red. And her lyrics are very 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 I don't want to say raunchy, but they out there.
Promiscuous.
Yes,
Come
it's
from out of
Pound
town.
Town just left Pound Town.
Hey.
right. And to
I
be
think the song "Promiscuous Girl" was made specifically for her. Like that was her anthem growing up. Because yeah,
listen, Sexy
uh,
Red is a very very I'm gonna just say a very open book, and I have no problems if you are out there and you live that life. As long as you being safe, then is whatever.
and she's not.
Eh, The only
She's
thing is
a
that
book with no binding.
the only thing is that with in her situation, it's like she started messing with a dude that ain't got no kind of couth, no kind of discretion at all. And that's a very very big problem. Like, if you live that lifestyle, fine, but you have to find ways to keep certain shit private. And I'm not just putting that on her as well. Like, it's on the dude as well, because that's why, first and foremost, if I'm given a situation where I'm having sex with a star and whatnot, I don't want nobody to know that shit. I don't want her business out there. I don't want my business out there. But not all of us have that same mindset. There are people out there who look for any ounce of clout they can get. And unfortunately, she slept with the wrong dude who put all her shit on her Instagram, and pretty much, mm, I didn't see the tape all the way through, but pretty much just let the tape leak on her Instagram, because I don't know if she left it open or if he like hacked into it or had her password, or I don't know.
So did he like post it on her social media?
Yes.
Isn't
Hmm.
that like revenge porn?
I
Because
Absolutely.
don't
that
know
is
if
a
it's
federal charge.
I
That
don't
is a
know if
I
federal
it's
don't know if it
charge.
was
revenge
revenge.
porn.
I think that's the dude that she had been hunting on for a minute, if I'm not mistaken. But
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, that's still not okay.
It's
I
Yeah,
not.
like
mean,
it's not.
girl,
I'm not saying that it's
You
okay, but I'm just like, what would be the purpose of that? Like, was it like a sense to like embarrass her? Because like,
was
I
because
don't
it
know. I
I
like,
don't
mean,
even
I
know if
saw
it
the
was
video, but like,
yeah. I don't know if it would be to embarrass her as much as it was just to say, hey, this is what we did, and him trying to hype himself
cloud
up.
chase.
Yeah, and clout chase, pretty much. I think that's really what it boiled down to. So I can't. It's not necessarily revenge porn. It's more so just clout chasing, but still, you released that shit without her permission.
I mean, as that one president said, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
It's not. Well, at least
Crazy.
in his case, it's not.
I mean, it's still running up her numbers. It hasn't made anybody not want to follow her. It just gives more people to put her name in the search bar.
hmm
So I mean, she's still getting clout from it.
Yeah, she is, but at the same time, that's not. She was still upset about it because,
Yeah,
again, this was her. It's a personal business being put out for everybody to see. And it's certain things are not meant for everybody's eyes. So I can definitely
right.
understand how that might have made her upset. My thing is, again, just when you do something like that, and I'm speaking to the audience here, just always be mindful of one, your social media, two, who you have your social media around, and
Mm-hmm.
then if you
And who you're
decide to
dealing
record
with.
stuff like that, like, just be mindful that in the wrong hands it could be very detrimental to you. I'm not saying that you should not record yourself doing god knows what, but there are things that you have to do to be sure that you secure your safety and your privacy. And if you
So now
decide to put that in the wrong hands, then that is ultimately up to you. But I
I
digress.
pose a question. Um, if we were all to become, I don't want to say famous, but more, uh,
Known.
yeah, there we go. Um, in your personal dealings, are you having people sign NDAs?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's a 100% unanimous consensus.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
even a
Like,
question.
You
Is that
know,
a
I,
but it's
Is
just
that a question?
yeah, even
Sign
yeah,
that
even
NDA.
even if we in a relationship, like, we signing this NDA, like, ain't nobody about to know our business. I'm sorry.
you feel me? I feel like that's the ultimate protection to keeping your image solid.
hmm
Other people be like, "Oh, well, that's being sneaky. You should want people to." I mean, not
No, it's
everybody
minding
needs,
my
Yeah,
business.
and having other people mind theirs as well.
exactly.
Okay. Okay, my business don't pay y'all. All right.
Hello.
hmm
But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, Sexy Red, she has talked about people that, have been within her circle, and she's leaked some certain entities about the stuff that they've gone through.
hmm
It was an interview she did talking about her lip gloss brand, and while one color was of the lip gloss was what it was, and I was just like, you didn't have to throw your homegirl under the bus like that, like.
Yeah, I remember that interview. Oh my gosh.
I was like, yo, you didn't have to do all that, but I mean, I get it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think moving forward, everybody, if you are on the quote road to fame or trying to find your claim to fame, be smart about your dealings. Write up an NDA, or if you have a lawyer or somebody who's in the legal field, figure it out. But if you want to continue to keep your business, and not have to worry about the prying eyes of paparazzi and fandom and media, protect
hmm
yourself first.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I just hope that if Sexy Red continues dealing with that dude or whatever dude that she deals with, just have them sign that NDA. Unless you just really don't care, then by all means, you know, if you like it, I love it. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. In
Hello.
that instance. But that's just all that I really wanted to say. Again, I'm not slut shaming nobody because folk out here doing all kinds of crazy things. I just want y'all to be careful on in who you let into your circle and be careful on what they do with that information. And just
Facts.
continue to also protect your social media on top of that as well. Because, like, look, somebody, if your social media falls into the hands of wrong people, then yeah, situations like that can happen. But definitely sign that NDA. Like, That's all I can say about that. All right. Any more comments on the Sexy Red sex tape situation?
I'm gonna be nice and say no.
No, but y'all ladies be safe out there.
Please.
That part.
Y'all be late. Y'all be safe. And wrap it up.
Indeed. Please continue to protect yourself out here and be safe. Um, I'm just saying. I'm not saying any names or anything like that, but I know a few people who have yeah. Let's just say again. I'm not putting their business out there, but please just continue to protect yourself. That's all I say. Like, be smart. We all
In
out
this
here.
day and age, y'all can't afford not to.
Exactly.
Right.
Y'all cannot afford not to. In this day and age, y'all cannot.
Yeah. Between
Yeah.
either STIs or between children, just I'm just gonna throw it out there, man.
I
I
love
know
the
some
pause
people.
between children.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen, some people think they pull out game strong. I'm like, yeah, until she wrap your legs around that around your hips. Now what? What you gonna do? But again, y'all just
Pull
be.
out. Like, what you finna do? Pull out? What?
I've known some people who was like, "Oh no, my pull out game strong." I'm like, bro, everybody
Then it be
different.
weak as hell.
Hmm
Hey
Weak
yo.
as hell. Like I already know. Like I be telling people all the time, I'm like, listen, when I say get off, I mean get off. Just like when y'all
Hey
tell me
kid,
stop,
I'm traumatized behind that. You know that, right?
you said you traumatized.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
You know
I
what
sh-
I'm talking about.
yeah. I shudder to wonder. I'm gonna just leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Uh,
Lord, how strong is your pullout game?
Here we go.
and listen, I
Hey,
already know mine
27,
ain't that strong. Like
27 and no kids, so
yeah.
I guess I'm doing something right.
No, same here, man. Same here. I just know when it's time, I'm literally like, nope. We're not doing that. But at the same time,
Nope.
I wear a glove too, so there's that. Like I really have no reason to do it without it. But I'm just saying in general, like if a situation comes out like that, I already know when to tell people, I need you to like get off, please. Or I
Right.
hold on, let me stop because I already know what's coming. Pause. That no pun intended. All right. So we got to talk about another chaotic situation here, and this was actually discussed between my fraternity as well as other organizations out there as well. There was a situation in, I believe, what was it, Tennessee, that this happened, where uh, a kid, a second grader, showed up with an AKA shirt on. Now, of course, her teacher happens to be a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And, well, of course, she removed the shirt from the little kid and put another shirt on her. Uh, and, of course, this caused a big discord because the mom got upset on why she's changing her daughter's clothes and whatnot. And it made her daughter upset because her daughter just liked pink and green, like the colors and things like that. And that the shirt was pretty much a hand-me-down uh to the kid. Now here's
It was from
I
the
got
thrift
I
store.
gotta I gotta full discourse, full disclosure. The people were white. Yeah.
Case closed.
Damn. Oh, damn.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
the little
I'm
kid, the
sorry.
little girl and the mom were white. This is almost the similar situation where a substitute teacher decided to wear the jacket of the actual teacher, and it was an AKA jacket. And the student, but this was in high school. Now, the high school students were telling her, "Why are you wearing the teacher's jacket? That's not your org. That's not your jacket. Please take it off." And that white woman did not take it off. That's a completely different story. But I just wanted to highlight, at least in
Again,
that
case closed.
situation, the kids knew what was up because, again, they're old enough, or at least the black kids were old enough to know, like, you're not a part of that organization. This ain't your jacket. On top of that, why do you have the audacity to pick up another person's clothing and wear it? knowing good and damn well that's not yours. Like, I don't care if it was an AKA jacket or not. Like, if it doesn't belong to you, don't touch it. But palm colored people, and they call Cassidy for some strange reason.
They
She
like to
want
touch shit that's not theirs.
exactly. But in the case of this 7-year-old wearing the AKA shirt, I think that there was different ways that could have been handled. Now, mind you, the the Negro in me is just like, good for that teacher, cool. But the common sense person in me was just like, okay, well, you could have taken that student to the side and one educated her about where that shirt came from, and then at the same time, she's 7. So what you could also do at that instance is, not take the shirt off, but maybe you could put another shirt on top of that, like the shirt that you gave to her to wear instead. You could have just said, hey, just wear this on top of that. So that way you wouldn't have to yank the shirt off of her and keep it for yourself. Come on, man. You've got to have better discourse than that, especially knowing where you are. You're in Tennessee. Like, let's just be honest about ourselves. And I understand that you don't want people, wearing paraphernalia that is, not they're not a part of that organization, especially because if you're not a part of an organization, it is banned for anybody else outside of that organization to wear those letters or to wear those kind of things. But here it goes back to, how did they get that shirt in the first place? That's the next question. It's like, well, wait a minute. When it comes to it, and that's the problem. The thing about Greek paraphernalia is that if you're going to pass it down, or if you're going to hand it down to somebody in your organization.
Hello.
Do not send your shit to Goodwill or the thrift store.
Right.
If you don't want it no more, find somebody in your org that can have it. If you decide that, hey, I want to like do something else with this, I don't want to wear it no more, it's kind of worn down, or hey, I want somebody else to have it, give it to your line brother, or give it to your neophyte, or give it to some young brother or some young sister who is in your organization that looks up to you and whatnot. Give it to them. Don't just give it to the damn thrift store or the Goodwill. That's how you get caught up. That's how they get caught up. There should be no reason why I see grown ass men wearing Delta Sigma Theta shirts from the thrift store. Like, are we kidding right now? Are you serious?
That's wild.
Yeah, I've seen it.
That's crazy.
It's
But
really nuts.
I don't know. I think we should also keep an account. We shouldn't expect a 7-year-old to figure out what pledging history is. And I do think I do think that there could have been another tactical way that the teacher could have handled it. Instead of just switching out the shirt, because she's 7. The child's 7.
Exactly.
She doesn't know any better.
And
so
I think that's what it boils down to. I'm like, the child is 7 and she's white. Of course she doesn't know about this. That would have been your opportunity again to educate, and then you could have found a way to, you could have sent a letter home to their parent letting them know, like, hey, this particular shirt is associated with this organization, and unless or not even unless, it's like, if you're not a part of this organization, you really should not be wearing this. So there could have been ways to handle that instead of embarrassing the 7-year-old.
Absolutely. Or, you know what? This would have been a great opportunity for some Black history.
Yes.
That would have been a perfect opportunity to do a little Black history event.
Exactly. Someone also said that would have been the perfect opportunity to groom that person into a future soror. Like, hey, this is what this organization does. Maybe you can take a look in that, and then when you get older and you go to college, you can join this organization. Granted that person is white, but there are white people in National Panhandle organizations. Like, got a few members who are white in my organization. So I'm just saying that's how I saw it. I'm like, that could have been the ultimate opportunity for you to educate and get her interested early, so that way when she gets older, she can be like, hey, my teacher taught me about this org. Let me look into it and see if it, if I want to be a part. I'm just saying that was an opportunity lost. But or do what the school district says, like, hey, alert the principal and administration and let them know, like, hey, this child is wearing a shirt that is technically, from what I read, is against the school policy, and also is a part of an organization that is for a certain group of women aged, 19 and up, and sometimes 18 and up, depending on which school. And it's a Greek letter organization, and it should not be worn by children. That could have been the opportunity to, have the administration step in and be like, hey, let's talk to the mom and let them know what's going on. And then on top of that, that teacher could have gone out of her way to buy maybe like a pink and green shirt as a gift and give it to that student. I'm coming up with different ideas that they could have handled this situation. It just ain't no need for you to yank the shirt off a 7-year old. I mean, yeah, she's white, but ain't no need for that. Sabby, did you have any comments?
I personally believe that the entire situation was handled incorrectly. Just pick back up what Nasa said. Like the child is 7, she doesn't know what the letters mean. She doesn't know what they represent. All she saw was it's a cute shirt that's pink and green and called it a day.
Mm-hmm.
However, the teacher did take some necessary steps where she wrote an email to the parent explaining why she did take the shirt away from her. However, I don't think she should have taken the shirt away from the child. I think she
Mm-hmm.
should have sent her home with a letter explaining this is what it means. As someone who is in an organization, I personally would have been like, okay, I will provide you with a pink and green shirt that does not have the letters on it, and you can give me that shirt once she gets home and go on from there. I think she did embarrass that child, and I think because she did embarrass that child, the parent took it upon themselves to be even more petty. So now, yes, she told the principal, yes, she told the school board, and it's on the news as well. So I think there was necessary steps that could have been taken so that this situation could not have happened and it could have gone much smoother than it actually did.
Yep.
And now, because of how it was handled, it is a bigger situation than it needs to be. Because we've seen so many times, I think as Black Greek letter organization members, I think sometimes we do take it too far when it comes to snatching letters. Because you also have to realize when you are doing that type of activity, you are representing your organization in a negative
Mm-hmm.
light. We treat all people with respect. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
understand that there are some people who like to perp at sometimes. You gotta regulate, but there's also ways to do it. Because at the end of the day, if somebody spent their good earned money to purchase some Nelia, who am I to tell you you can't wear it? Like at the end of the day, if you spent your good money, you spent your good money. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
snatch shit off of you, but I'm gonna tell you if I catch you in that, I'm telling nationals, and if somebody send you a cease and desist, that's on you. You know what I mean?
That just
I
kind of
yep.
that really just sounds like during like when we was in college and we were doing the whole process and shit, and like they caught you in any form of color, any form of
Hmm.
nail and anything, it was a wrap for you. Like, this girl is 7, she is not online.
She's all of 7.
Exactly.
She is
Exactly. She's
not
not doing a
online, she's
process.
7. She's
This
7, give her grace.
like y'all could have did something so much better than how she handled that situation. Now, if that
Yeah,
teacher loses her job, she loses her career all over her letters. Like I get it. I'm sure her sorority, if she ain't removed as a member of her sorority, I'm sure they're gonna take care of her. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have done it that way.
Exactly.
absolutely. Or they could have did a painting class, like, hey, let's all pay some shirts, and like, y'all could have, she could have been real cute and classy about that, but whatever.
I'm saying there were multiple ways to handle that situation, and the teacher did not handle that the correct way. So, lesson be learned here. Like as Sappy said, if you wearing my letters and whatnot, I'm not about to sit here and be like, try to snatch it off you, whether you a child or you a grown ass dude or anything like that. We understand that there are perps out there, but like if you in my letters and you don't know the secrets of my organization and things like that, then at that point, I mean, I ain't gonna bother you because it's too many crazy people out there. I'm just gonna, as she said, hit up that grandchild and be like, hey, this person is yada yada yada, and then at that point, they send cease and desist letter to you. That is, yeah, that's on them at that point. But it's not worth going through all of that, uh seeing letters on someone who is not a member, especially a child. Like at that point, the child don't know no better, and in this case, the parent also don't know no better either. But still, the actions that teacher took, unfortunately, just were, in my opinion, definitely were not warranted. There was multiple ways to handle that situation.
I would have been
Now,
like, "You want to be a little AKA?
it,
Here's how you do
well, well, I just thought of a joke. I don't want to do that because my mom and my grandmother are AKA, so I'm just gonna leave that one alone. All right, but at the same time, like now in the situation of that white woman, that white substitute teacher who was wearing a jacket and refused to take it off, that's a different story. The students were telling her like, you're not a part of that organization, and that's not your jacket to start. Like, take it off, and she wouldn't. That's an entirely different situation. I still probably wouldn't snatch it off of her, but still, that at that point, it's like, okay, now you just doing it just because you being ignorant. And you also, I don't, there's another word for that, but it's just like you wearing something that ain't yours. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like that's got to come off. But for that child, nah, it wouldn't work for all that. So with that in mind, it is almost 9:30 here as we record. Before we get out of here, we do got to talk about one more thing, and it's a tweet that I noticed, and it kind of relates to certain albums that have dropped within this last year, and the quality of those albums and just the quality of this music genre in general. And I wanted to point out, this was a tweet by Juicy J, and he actually dropped this on October 8th. Now, as of this recording, it's October 9th. Of course, you guys will hear this on the 11th. But Juicy J actually tweeted, rap music is down 40% in sales this year. This is a fact. Now, I'm not going to sit here and question where Juicy J got that number from because, I mean, he's in the industry. He knows what it is. Um, I just have to say that if the number is true, then there's obviously reasons behind that. And let's look at some of the albums that actually dropped today, or some of the bigger albums that dropped this year. Of course, you've got Gunna's album, you've had Travis Scott, and then recently you just had Drake. Now, of course, you have other artists that are out there. You've got plenty of women in the hip hop game who have dropped. Of course, Coi Leray dropped for those who are Coi Leray fans. You have multiple women artists who are dropping singles left and right. And yet, it just seems like the genre is not really moving. If anything, is taking a few steps back. And I think I mentioned this on one of the bonus episodes and one of the other episodes, but I said that the rap game, unfortunately, has just become stagnant. We talked about microwave generation, and pretty much the music that's being put out there is more like fast food than it is anything else. It's not, doesn't have any staying power. But the biggest thing is that what else is attributing to this number? Why is it that rap has taken a step back? Well, in my opinion, is not only because of the fact that the music has no staying power. People seem to be more interested in dropping 2 or 3 quick hot singles than they are about actually making full conceptual bodies of work. And on top of that, you've got different genres that are currently dominating the scene right now that are way more diverse than where mainstream rap is right now. Unfortunately, mainstream rap has gotten to a point where there are a few different parts of black music that have just been jumbled up into rap music. And now you've gotten a situation where it sounds the same and it hasn't changed. We talk about how rap is supposed to like change every 3 to 5 years, from the 80s, from the beginning of the 80s all the way down to like the to New Jack. Things changed from New Jack all the way to Boom Bap. Things had changed from Boom Bap all the way down to the early 2000s. The early 2000s don't even sound the same as the late 2000s. But in the last 8 years in general, rap has sounded exactly the same, and that's a problem. There has not been any creativity as far as changing the sound, and especially in mainstream rap. And I think that's what contributes to the actual loss in sales, because there's nothing different. There's nothing that's being done that is creatively different. And then, of course, you've got different genres like Afro beats that is doing extremely well. And then you've also got K-pop that's coming into play now as well. And then you've got, in my opinion, uh, a new age of R&B that's actually finally getting recognized. So now we're in a situation that's like, well, as rap, what does rap need to do to get back to where it was, and how can they continue to move forward and generate some new creativity? But I just wanted to pose the question on to my pod mates as far as what they think has caused rap sales to go down this year, and is there anything that can be done to put rap back at the top like it was a few years ago?
It's streaming. I feel like nowadays the amount of streams you get, it's more it's more songs that have to be played in order for it to be considered as a high album sale. Before, if you bought one album, they consider that one, and so on and so forth. Now you got to stream like one song 1,000 times in order for it to be like point 0.5 of an album sale. Like, I think what's necessary in order for it to be considered an album sale is much higher than what it used to be back in the day. I mean,
All right. Well, Sappy, you may need to leave and come back. But
Oh, can you hear
yeah,
me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, I had to turn off my headphones. Sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll just edit that part. But continue.
Yeah, so I was just saying nowadays it's a little bit different because of how streaming is, and and on top of that, hip hop isn't as popular as it was back in the day.
And to be honest, I definitely get that. But even in the age of streaming, there was one point where like hip hop was considered the number one genre, and you can tell from the influence of that. I would say, especially like in that 2016, 2018 era, and even some years beyond that, hip hop was strong, even despite the streaming coming into play for real, for real. But now it's just grown stagnant, because there's been no creativity, and it just seems that people are doing the same thing and expecting it to sell, or rap artists are just trying to take advantage of the algorithm. Drake, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No,
Had something a little bit,
absolutely. And I
but
feel like they're
yeah.
putting more power behind a single than the album and the body of work. I feel like a lot of times people are like, okay, what is a popular trend for a song? Rather than let me create this amazing body of work that people are going to play from beginning to end multiple times. I feel like a lot of people's like, if I get this one track that people are going to play a million times, I'd rather have that than me create a great body of work and maybe we get 500 streams. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of weird to me because at the end of the day, the single is supposed to be the teaser for this great body of work that you are putting together. But I feel like
Hmm.
the single is now what people are aiming for. And that's, to me, that's not how it's supposed to be. But also times are changing. So I know back in the day they were probably thinking the same thing from like, oh my God, these kids and they new music is getting crazy. I wanted a vinyl record. Now they printing it on CDs. So I feel like I feel like it's an ever evolving cycle of the same thing. I feel like maybe hip hop just needs to take a back seat. I mean, back in the day, hip hop wasn't even at the Grammys. You know what I'm saying? So
They weren't.
they weren't. It wasn't even a category. So I mean, there's a time where it gets on top and there's a time where it's going to be at the bottom. I feel like maybe this is the time that hip hop is going to be at the bottom and it's time for other genres to shine.
I don't disagree with that. I just think, in general, like there was a time where hip hop was always evolving, but in these last few years, it has not, and that's a problem. Now you still have artists who come out there that says, okay, I'm gonna still put out this entire body of work and not just tease you with a single. and they still sell. Like if you look at artists like, I know Travis Scott has a sound of his own, but Travis didn't drop like multiple singles and try to, make, do something with the algorithm. That man dropped an entire, project. And whether you liked the project or not, he still dropped a body of work that flowed together, and it still ended up, pushing almost 500K first week. Then you've got, the two kings on top, not including Drake, but we're talking like J. Cole and Kendrick, who will literally drop entire bodies of work, and it's proven that it can still sell even in the midst of the streaming boom. But these other artists, it's just kind of like, if you're not putting together, a cohesive body of work, yeah, you focusing on the single, but then when the album drops, it's just a coherent mess, and you only moving like 13, 14K in your first week. That that has no staying power whatsoever. And people gonna look at it like, was this a good album? Or was it just there, for you to run that algorithm up? And it
I think that like part of the issue is that so I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I think that a lot of the hip hop artists that we hear today, they're they're giving quantity versus quality. Like
mm-hmm,
the albums that were quality had longevity.
yep,
The albums, the projects that had quality was short lived. And I feel like maybe hip hop is just in that stage, that repetitive stage of just putting out quantity versus quality. And if we can get back to that, I feel like hip hop would definitely continue to reign supreme. But it's looking that artists in other genres, they're interested in quality. They're
mm-hmm,
interested in that longevity. So that's why it seems like hip hop is falling and everybody else is rising, because I don't care what nobody says, quality will always reign supreme
yes, it will.
over quantity any day.
Absolutely. And that goes back to a comment I made. We're actually going to do a review for Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs, because this kind of Nas's comment actually really ties into Drake's album, I believe. But I want to save that review because, yeah, that's I gotta talk about it. Was it a bad album? Not necessarily, but Drake has Drake has created a problem within himself and with the music that he drops. But I'll save that for the review. So I definitely just really wanted to talk about that because I think that it's important in our generation, and hip hop has always been kind of a mainstay for the younger crowd. Like if you were born in within the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and even now, like hip hop has always been a part of the culture. It's always been a part of Black culture. Up and here he goes again. So it's
My
just
bad.
important that we had. It's all good. It's just important that we had that have that conversation. But Law, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you got to think about how hip hop used to actually get their music out. Back in the day, it was a certain amount of CDs that were produced, and then it was the CD man on the corners who was selling the CDs for however much he was selling them for, or the actual CD store itself selling CDs. I can remember my aunt having over 200 different artists, CDs as they drop periodically. Nowadays, you have, like you all said, the streaming services. You got Tidal, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and the list goes on. YouTube Music, so it's multiple ways that this music is getting out now, as opposed to it being what it used to be, which was you got to go to the store and buy the album itself. And it's again the promotion of violence and drugs and sex, like the substance of what is actually being put out for hip hop music versus the fact that they're trying to promote wokeness, or not. I don't even like saying wokeness, but like just positivity. Like it's like the positive versus negative aspect. It's more negative than it is positive. And then when you do get um and I mean I hate to harp on it, but this KJ, I know you'll agree with me. Kendrick Lamar has more positive music in his messages.
Mm-hmm.
J. Cole. Um I mean you could even say lyricism, Tyler the Creator, you
Yep.
know? So like these different artists, Joey Badass, they're talking about things that not only that they've been through, but you know, promoting healing and not just this that get back. I've been popping 30 perks and I've been up for 4 days and I spin the block and who wants smoke. Like the idea of violence has turned a lot of people away from the hip hop culture because
Mm-hmm.
that's not what hip hop used to be. It used to be about rhymes and who had the nice beats, who had the actual production on their soundtracks. And so again, until that takes a turn, I don't think that hip hop will come back to what it once was.
We
Yeah, and
had
not to
quality. We had
yeah,
quality back
and
then.
and not to take away from anything, but I mean, we also remember that hip hop did start out as party music too. This
Yep.
is and so granted, you still have party tracks that are out there. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if anything, hip hop is always going to be about party music. But when it comes down to a certain, as law has stated, when it comes down to certain topics being talked about over and over and over and over again with no creativity in between, with nothing of substance, with no positivity in between as well, it gets like really stale. If you're talking about abusing drugs, or you know getting your get back, or how many women, or in women's case how many niggas you got on your, and doing all of this, but you still talking about the same thing over and over and over again with no actual difference in the subject matter, it will get repetitive. Like, there were times where, like, our artists back in the day, like in the 90s, yeah, they might have talked about the same things, but they switched it up every now and again. I don't want to use this example, but I'm gonna use this example. Tupac had enough creativity to drop "I Get Around," which I think that means, but then at the same token had "Brenda's Got a Baby," or "Dear Mama," or "So Many
I
Tears,"
ain't mad at you.
or "I Ain't Mad at You," or
Gangsta's
two of America's
Paradise.
Most Wanted. Like, yeah, they had multiple songs where they could talk about different subjects.
California Love, he was talking about a
California,
love for the city, you know what I'm saying?
right?
Yeah.
Or the state rather.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, there were certain artists who fell into certain niches and talked about certain things that they were more comfortable talking about, but at the same time, they also had the versatility to go out and do different subjects as well. But it's been, who knows how long since it's been since we've had like multiple artists to be able to do that. Because now it just seems like every artist that at least comes out talks about the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah, it's just like, okay, you could probably be wrong, but at the same time, I know that the artists nowadays are focused on trying to make, songs rather than be about the rhymes. And but again, it all goes back to affecting that algorithm.
And
So,
I was gonna say another thing, KJ, like it pains me. Like we just talked about Sexy Red.
mm-hmm,
The kids are essentially what perpetuate this hip hop stuff too. And it pains me that I mean, granted, yeah, you got to use what's gonna get through to the kids, but if your pencils and papers are done, I need to see your eyes, and the kids come out ski. I'm like, yo, I've seen so many videos, and I mean, I get it. Make what works for you work, but no, because like
listen, there were certain
that.
songs that I couldn't listen to until I got a certain age. So, but even then, it's like, as you said, with the you got to use what you got to use, and I don't blame Sexy Red, and I don't blame any artist for trying to come up with something trendy that'll catch the eyes and the ears of their audience. Is just, it's also on the parents to try and mitigate what their kids listen to on top of that. So I already know one thing, like if I had a son or a daughter, they not listening to Ski. They're not listening to anything about Sexy Red, at least not until they get a certain age. It's like, hey, hold on. Nah, I can't allow you to listen to that. Here, play this instead. My mama did used to do the same thing with me. She'd be like, you can't listen to a certain rap that had too much cussing in it or talks about, a certain subject matter until I
My
got a certain
parents did the
age.
same thing.
So it's just a matter of mitigating what your kids listen to on top of that. So I'll put that onus on the parents. But uh it just goes back to with certain artists having a certain notoriety and what they're known for and what they're known for rapping for. You just have to pay close attention to um what the trends are. And then I see what certain artists are trying to do. Like they see what their trend is, so they have to make a song that goes with that trend and try to put it out there because they think it'll give them an instant hit. And that's the other thing, is that instant gratification.
But
Whereas instead of it
instant
being a slow
gratification
build,
is instantly lost too.
yeah,
Nothing that comes fast is worthwhile, and that's
exactly.
word to my pops. That was something he always told me. He was like, every time you try to skip a corner or try to do something fast, guess what? You might get the result, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be worthwhile. You'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
you get that instant gratification, and now you're right back out there looking to try to catch that same high that you got from whatever you did fast. Take your time, put work
Exactly.
The-
and dedication into it, so that
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you can be 20, 30 years down the line and people still bumping your song like you just dropped it the same day.
that's a
Exactly.
word. That's a word. Because literally, like when you want that instant gratification, you end up skipping steps,
Mm-hmm.
and those steps that you end up skipping for that instant gratifications become so vital because that's the part that gives you that longevity. And I wish we just wasn't in much of a popcorn era. It's
Yep.
I really wish we wasn't in such a popcorn era, but we also, I feel like our attention spans are hella short now, so that's why like
Mm-hmm.
artists are trying to like give you as many songs or as many singles as possible because to keep that attention going on because of how short our attention is becoming. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think this is a good stopping point. I think we've gotten the opportunity to talk about, what has been affecting us as of late, things that we need to focus on for our future. We've talked about a few chaotic elements within society, and of course, we've talked about our music in general. I think that this has been a very interesting and a very, great conversation. If you feel as though that you could have if there was something else that you want to add to the conversation, of course, please feel free to hit us up and let us know. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on what we've discussed today. Real quick before, of course, we get to the rundown, which I'm going to go ahead and do here. I do want to give a birthday shout out to our boy Jaylee Trey. Of course, at the time of this recording, it is October 9th, and today is his 33rd birthday. So big happy birthday to Jay. I wish he could have joined us on this episode, but I know he had birthday things to get to. So definitely we look forward to seeing you on the next few episodes, bro. Have fun, be safe, and don't do anything that I wouldn't.
Leave a gang, gang, gang. Turn up all week from the 9th to the 15th. It is Freaky Friday, Spooky Friday, Friday the 13th. So all
mm,
those that like being spooky, get your mask, your costumes out. But yeah, we want to hear the recap of your week long turn up. May 33 take you to new heights and beyond.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is indeed spooky season. So for those out there who are big Halloween fans, I'm hoping that this season brings many blessings to you, and hope you get a chance to, do some cosplays and whatever activities that you do in the fall. Just be safe out here because it's real nuts. But with that in mind, are there any new business highlights that people want to point out before I get to the rundown?
Not today.
Okay,
Y'all go
sounds
ahead
good.
and follow my brand, the GVGVO brand, on Instagram and TikTok, and stay tuned for updates and drops.
If you are in the Hampton Road 757 area, there is this new restaurant called Canvas Social Cuisine. It's for, I'll say, 20, I could say 18 to 18 and up. It's kind of like it gives DC vibes in Hampton. They also have one in Norfolk. So
Yeah,
if you got a chance to check them out, they have hookah, they have good food, good drinks, all around just a dope spot to go and hang out or have a night out on the town.
indeed. I actually went to the one in Norfolk before the one in Hampton popped up. Uh, I will say it can be on the pricey side, but I think it's a nice atmosphere for you to check out. If you are definitely a brunch person, definitely check them out. If you are a hookah person, definitely check them out as well. Like I've been there and I've had a few of their drinks and the drinks were good. Again, it's a little on the pricey side, but just if you come correct, come with them dollars, and come one and a half fun, it's a good spot. It is a really good spot. So thank you for that shout out, Law. I think that the Canvas is really a dope spot for us to go to, and for people to go to enjoy those vibes. So, with that, let's go ahead and get to this rundown. So, for those who don't know, the rundown, of course, is us giving a shout out to our podcasts, content creators, artists, and businesses who either have supported this podcast, been on this, or have been on this podcast before. I'm stuttering today. I need to chill out. But still, we do this rundown every episode just to shout out and highlight those businesses, artists, content creators, and podcasts who at one point or another have shown this podcast support. So we definitely want you to check out these podcasts, content creators, these artists, and these black businesses, and definitely show them some love and definitely show them some support. So for the podcast, of course, Shogo High and Inside the Mind of a Blurred are the other two podcasts that I'm a part of. Shogo High is an anime podcast that is held every other Friday on X Spaces or Twitter Spaces, whatever. And it usually gets uploaded to your favorite DSP a few days afterwards. So definitely shout out to Shogo High. And then Inside the Mind of a Blurred, of course, shout out to the gang. We talk about not just anime, but black nerd culture in general. So definitely shout out to them. Please be sure that, of course, you subscribe to that Patreon as well for Inside the Mind of a Blurred. You can subscribe to as low as $2. So there's that. Definitely shout out to Mike Check, Waifu, Worst Generation Pod, and Blandame Pod. I am a Patreon subscriber to those three podcasts as well. And big shout out to Worst Generation Pod and Blandame for the collective known as the Anime After Dark Community Hangout. And just a big shout out because they are back in full swing every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on X Spaces. Please be sure that you check them out and enjoy yourself because it is quite the ride. Shout out to the Truth and Transparency Podcast with Brother X, the Culture Scientist, and Mr. Smith. Once again, big congratulations to Brother X and Culture Scientist. They have officially tied the knot. So I am extremely proud of you guys. Definitely big shout out to my boy, Brother X, man. Big Hampton love over here. The session with Jay and Trey, whenever they decide to come back. Now K Renee is actually getting ready to drop a new podcast. I will not announce it yet, of course. She should be doing the announcing pretty soon, but once she has that full and up and running, of course, I will make sure that I drop the name of that podcast here. But be sure that you check out her novellas under the pen name Sedona Rose, which are now available on Amazon Kindle. Definitely shout out to It's So Real with Raquel and Onaji. Dad Needs to Talk with Rob, the father of Vash. Analytical Shit Gets Critical. Geek Set Podcast. Anime Junkies, 3 weeks in the podcast. Those Anime Girls, Anime, and definitely shout out to The Commute, which is a podcast run by one of my frat brothers. So definitely big shout out to them. They're just getting started and then they hit the ground running as well. I'm gonna have them on an episode sooner or later. To our black content creators, of course, shout out to Black Anime with Aaron, HBCU Anime with Evan, Yo to the Noops. Of course, Soon Dairy with my girl Ari / Erica, Cerberus Entertainment. Definitely shout out to Tatapoodle, who is a streamer. If you don't know about Tatapoodle, please be sure that you get on that. Shout out to my girl Kiana, aka the Geechee Gamer, who is also a streamer. Please be sure that you check her out. Icarus Metro Comics with my boy Calvin. Shout out to Hubtaku, the biggest hub of content creators ever. Please be sure that you check them out. If you have not, you're doing yourself no favors. Again, you can follow them at HBTaku on all social media, but there it is pronounced Hubtaku. Shout out to Shelby for Simply Janine, Simply Baked, and Rose Let's Travel. She's also getting ready to do some streaming as well. So big shout out to her. Strange Keith with Idols to Icons. Definitely shout out to Toasty Marshmallow, who is a content creator and again provided us with one of our biggest episodes to date. Shout out to Miss Simone, who is my podcast mate on By Simone Malcolm. And shout out to my girl Courtney, who is my other co-host on Shogo High. And be sure that you follow her at None of My Friends Watch Anime on all social media platforms. And of course, she is a variety streamer, so please be sure that you check her out. For our black artists, of course, Miss Nasa. Go figure. You already know what time it is. Definitely shout out to Scoozy, my boy Jack Union, Phil.me, Ellis Quinn, RJ Stackhouse. Shout out to our boy Quarter. Of course, Tyrone Leak Jr., our girl Ari Lachelle. Definitely Ari Lachelle is doing some big things.
She is doing amazing things.
I'm so proud of Ari. Like I'm gonna call her and I'm gonna be like, yo, you gotta come back on. We gotta talk. We definitely have to talk. So definitely. Shout out to our boy Zach Hines with Fortresses. Shout out to my girl Elena, who actually also just celebrated her birthday not too long ago. So happy birthday to Elena. And of course, shout out to our girl Zainab. And then for black businesses, we've got Already Paid by Dre, Fresh Nurse Righteous Minds by Timo, KSS Brand by Christina, Cream Cosmetics by Naima, Mind Over Money, goodness gracious, by Miss Tremaine, Studio Maho again with Pat and Yin, Concept Moon, She Designs 2 by my girl Erin, Black Magic / Lip Wands by Low and T, H4 Creative by my girl Zenobia, Real Estate Stone by my girl Meredith, Soul by Bell by my girl Mariah, Blurred Mind Studios with my boy Scuba Steve. Be on the lookout. Be sure that you check out Wait the Dead and some other projects that are coming very soon. Good Vibes Only, or GVGVO by Miss Nasa. Coaster's Bar and Grill, of course, which is located in Hampton near Buckrow Beach, and Scrappy Sentiment by our very own Sappy as well. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Chaotic Culture Podcast on your favorite digital streaming platform. Be sure that you subscribe to the Patreon for early access to the podcast and bonus episodes of the podcast. You can subscribe at any of the 4 levels listed, whether it be $3, $5, $7, or $10. Does not matter. We still appreciate your support. You can follow our Chaotic Culture Podcast page on Facebook at Chaotic Culture Podcast. You can also follow us on IG at Chaotic Culture Pod and follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Chaotic_Culture. Hopefully, very soon we'll be getting rid of that underscore because that is just so unnecessary. But anyway, you can follow me, Ked the Pro. That's K3D the Pro on all social media. You can follow Miss Nasa at _Call Me Nasa on all social media for the time being. You can follow Law on IG at L.JR_96 and on Twitter at Law96_. You can follow Miss Sappy at Scraps14 on all social media, and you can follow Johnny at Jaylee Trey on all social media. And with that, this has been another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, chaos rules, be blessed, be safe, God is love. 2 up, 2 down.
Peace.
One.
It's the KKP on your mother flipping airways. Hear the name ringing through the halls and the stairways. You were listening to a pod that can segue. All the latest topics guaranteed to fill your headspace. It's a safe place to voice your opinion. Say what you feel just like you're a kid again. Kid the Pro and friends, black as obsidian. Chaotic culture, that's the world we living in. So what's the word?
You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast. And